The snickers started the moment she sat down in seat 22C. A middle-aged woman in a plain jacket, hair tied back in a simple braid. She carried no designer bag, no expensive perfume, just a worn leather duffel and a quiet presence. "Excuse me, ma'am, that's the middle seat," a sharply dressed businessman said with a sigh, gesturing impatiently for her to shuffle in. Two teenagers across the aisle whispered and giggled as she struggled with the overhead bin. "She looks like someone's tired aunt," one of them muttered. The woman, Major Sarah Collins, kept her eyes lowered. She was used to it. Ever since she'd left active duty and blended back into civilian life, the uniform that once commanded respect had been replaced by anonymity and, too often, ridicule. The flight attendant smiled politely but without warmth. "Ma'am, you'll need to stow your bag properly. Other passengers are waiting." Sarah apologized, her voice soft. She wedged her duffel overhead and squeezed into 22C, pressed between the businessman and a woman scrolling her phone, both annoyed by her presence. For the first hour of the flight, the murmurs continued. The businessman complained about her elbow. The teenagers laughed every time she fumbled with the snack tray. To them, she was invisible, at best a nuisance. But at 30,000 feet, halfway across the Midwest, the captain's voice suddenly broke over the intercom, tense and uncertain. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just received notice of restricted airspace ahead. We'll be holding position until cleared." Passengers groaned. The businessman muttered something about missing meetings. Sarah's eyes sharpened. She leaned toward the attendant passing by. "Did they say restricted airspace?" "Yes, ma'am, but please remain seated." The attendant replied curtly, clearly not wanting questions. Sarah nodded, pulled her duffel down, and slipped out a small, battered headset. The businessman frowned. "What are you doing?" Before Sarah could answer, the captain's voice returned. Strained this time, "We've been asked to identify passengers. Security protocols are being enacted." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Some thought it was a terrorist threat. Panic flickered. Then Sarah stood. Calm, firm, authoritative. "Captain," she said to the startled attendant, "patch me through to ATC. Call sign Raven 2. 7 requesting authentication." The attendant blinked. "Your call sign." Every head turned. The businessman's jaw dropped. The teenagers stopped snickering. Moments later, the cockpit door cracked open. A nervous first officer peeked out. "Mom, did you say Raven 27? Sarah nodded once. Within seconds, radios crackled alive. Passengers pressed against windows as 2 fighter jets roared into formation beside the airliner, gleaming silver against the sky, not hostile, protective. And then, unbelievably, a third aircraft came into view, blue and white, unmistakable. Air Force One. The captain's voice trembled with awe. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been instructed to proceed under escort. We are honored to have Major Sarah Collins, decorated combat pilot, aboard today. Air Force One itself has diverted to provide safe passage." The cabin was silent. The businessman stared, shame flooding his face. The teenager's eyes were wide with stunned respect. Sarah sat back down in 22C, headset in her lap, expression steady. For the first time that flight, no one dared whisper. Instead, they looked at her, not with mockery, but with gratitude, admiration, and something deeper. A quiet hero, humiliated moments ago, was now the reason they were safe in the sky. And for the first time in years, Sarah Collins felt seen again.